So, if you know anything about me, you would know that one of my favorite things that I love to talk about or spend my free time watching, whether I'm gaming or if I'm um, doing artwork, is lost media. I love lost media. Um, while I was making this video, choosing which subjects I wanted to cover, I went down a rabbit hole on the Lost Media wiki, and there's so many things that I want to talk about now, and even some older topics and that I would love to make videos about. But I wanted to do an introduction to my favorite pieces of Lost Media, um, with this video just talking about some of my favorite cases. There was a few other cases that I could have talked about, like Superstar Secret or Me and My Friends, and I just chose not to, simply because they're done to death, and I don't really care for them all that much. They're interesting, but they're just not my favorites. So, yeah, so I'm gonna get into basically, some of my favorites. These are not all of my favorites, these are just some, because I probably will have to make multiple entries, of these types of videos. The one thing I will say, though, is that some of the lost media cases that I do like can be a bit disturbing. So, I'm going to name some of these cases, and give a small description of them. And so if you want to stay for the rest of the video for me to talk about it, then yes, then cool. If it doesn't sound like your thing, I'll see you guys in the next one. It's just something I really, really want to talk about. So the first thing I'm going to be covering is Nice Singing Dog Lost Videos. None of that is really disturbing. The Shadow King, which is a Henry Selick cancelled movie. Then the Black Cauldron Melting Soldiers. Saki Sanobashi, or otherwise known as Go for a Punch, which is a disturbing lost media anime about these schoolgirls getting lost or getting stuck in a bathroom, and they end up offing themselves at the end of it. And LOL Superman, which is a supposed shock video from jumpers of 9/11. So if that doesn't sound like your bag, I'll see you guys in the next video. But yeah, if you guys want to stick around for me to talk about these subjects, then yeah, let's get into it. Nice Singing Dog Lost Videos. Nice Singing Dog is a furry in the community best known for being a musician and fursuiter. Some of his most popular songs are Paws to the Walls and Instinct. In 2013, Nice created a YouTube channel where he uploaded trailers, previews, music videos, skits, etc. As of right now, some of these videos are gone and have become lost media, some of which have been found, like Balcony Talk with Nice, which was found by a user known as Lost Puyo, as they had an archive on their Google Drive, which is now on the Internet Archive. Life with Pets series is another series of videos that are now partially lost. The third entry was the only one to remain public, but one of the missing videos was able to be recovered through the Wayback Machine through Nice's website. Partial footage would also be found later on their social media platforms. There are still a few unknown videos yet to be recovered, ranging from vlogs, trailers, and other promotional material. There's a theory as to why some of these videos have become lost, one of which is Nice's controversial appearance in the Furry Raiders podcast, and in association with Garden State for the Weekend's Conchair, who also appeared on the same podcast. But other than that, no one really knows as to why these videos were privatized. The Shadow King. So, if you somehow have found my Letterboxd, which, if you guys have, how the fuck do you guys do that? Because I have not given that information to you guys. But if you've seen my letterbox, you would see that Coraline is in my top 4. And it's kind of no secret to anyone who really knows me, knows I love anything Henry Selick or Tim Burton-esque. So this one really appealed to my interest when this actually showed up on my For You page with a TikTok talking about The Shadow King. In 2010, Henry Selick got into a partnership with Disney and Pixar to create a long-term deal to make stop-motion films. The first movie to be made under this deal was originally called Shademaker, then once greenlit was renamed to The Shadow King, and was set to release October 4th, 2013. Unfortunately, once it hit over $50 million into production, Disney would pull the plug due to how expensive it was becoming to produce and due to creative and scheduling standpoints. The picture wasn't meeting its deadlines either on where it should have been in production and to meet that release date. Selick has said in an interview in 2022 that the project also suffered from John Lasseter's interference with changes to the script and the production, inflating the budget to be even higher. Selick has now reserved the rights to this production and may revive it at a later date, but some sets and puppets have unfortunately been destroyed. Only thing that remains are a few clips, storyboards, and concept art. So not necessarily a lost film per se, but a cancelled one, and I still feel like that sort of counts. The Black Cauldron Melting Soldiers. The Black Cauldron is a 1985 animated Disney film which was a commercial failure. It lost to the Care Bears movie in the box office on its debut release weekend. Also, side note, I watched this movie growing up because I was a huge Disney nerd. And when I rewatched it as an adult, I'm surprised I never got nightmares or anything from it. It's like Coraline too. I watched Coraline as a kid, never got nightmares. I don't know. It's fun looking back at some of the things I used to watch as a kid, and like, how did I not get nightmares from this compared to what I'd actually get nightmares about? I used to get nightmares over fucking E.T., but didn't get nightmares from the Black Cauldron or Coraline. I don't know. During test screenings for its audience, many things got changed due to it being too graphic. Yeah, a Disney film being too graphic. This was Disney's attempt to try and garner an older audience. Jeffrey Katzenberg would come in and ask for the movie to be reanimated in specific areas and other parts to be cut. 12 minutes were allegedly cut from the final film. Due to how late in production this happened, you can actually see parts in the film that were tampered with, such as jump cuts and decrease in animation quality. One of the deleted scenes was the Horned King's army of the undead attacking his henchmen, causing their skin to bubble and melt off their bodies and leaving skeletons behind. Another scene was a man getting his throat slit open with a sword. Some of the animation cells were recovered in an auction and put online in a reconstruction of the film scenes, along with some trailer footage that wasn't in the final film. The producer, Joe Hall, is said to own a black and white uncut version of this film, but has never released any footage from it, along with also an uncut version being in one of the famous Disney vaults, which, if you know anything about Disney lost media or anything cancelled films, it's apparently this big vault where they basically have like a massive archive and basically have everything just locked away, which is fun for a lot of people to theorize about, but it's very famous if you've looked into any Disney-esque lost media or cancelled stuff. It's that. Also, apparently there's like something similar for like Disneyland about specific crime cases and stuff that have happened at Disney. So yeah, it's wild shit, basically. Go for a Punch or Saki Sanobashi. Go for a Punch, or also known as Saki Sanobashi, was a psychological horror anime series said to be released in the 1980s, depicting 9 girls locked in a bathroom underground where they were subjected to torture, and a notable scene of a girl being drowned in a sink, alongside other disturbing content, suicide, and other violence. This gained traction due to an anonymous user on 4chan in 2015, where another user asked others to share their disturbing finds on the deep web. It would not be a lost media video though if I did not mention 4chan, so like, it had to be at least mentioned at least once. This user went into great detail to describe this grotesque anime, providing plot, character descriptions, etc., but no real solid evidence that this anime existed. Because it never did. This is a creepypasta / hoax that has caused a frenzy in the lost media community. So yeah, technically not a lost media, but it is one of my favorite stories, as even though it didn't exist, many different anime or manga would be brought up with very similar synopsis. So even though it started as a joke / hoax, they found anime manga with almost very close descriptions of the supposed anime, like Lady in the Sea of Blood, Dragon Head, Corpse Party, and some having similar resemblance, like Brain Damage and Sojo Sabaki. And also, while also researching, I forgot to put it in in the script, is that there is now a visual novel game based off Saki Sanobashi, which, I don't know. Next thing I'm probably gonna see is the actual anime being made, which would be kind of cool, but would I watch it? Probably not. LOL Superman. LOL Superman is a supposed video that was reported on multiple video sharing websites such as YouTube in around 2006. The video was reported to have taken place on 9/11, the World Trade Center attacks, and apparently shows people jumping to their deaths and hitting the pavement next to the cameraman. This was known as a shock video, as there was multiple videos floating around of the same time. In 2015, an anonymous poster would recount their experience with said video on the X Paranormal board on 4chan, and had said it was on YouTube back in the early days. And the channel that hosted the video was disabled not long after it was posted, alongside a lot of negative feedback, which rightfully so, with the title making fun of people's deaths in an awful tragedy, and not only that, posting it online for millions to see. There has been a new attention coming back to this case as of 2022 from a user on the r/Lost Media board on Reddit, and a potential for many different leads to find this video. This screenshot is synonymous with LOL Superman as a supposed thumbnail for the video, but it has been debunked, as this actually comes from a Chinese tourist visiting the World Trade Center on June 10th, 2001, 3 months before 9/11 took place. There's also been a few users on Lost Media forums contacting those from the 9/11 Museum Archive, sending FOIA's requests to the FBI, which have confirmed access to footage that could be LOL Superman, but will not release that footage due to licensing and permission agreements, and the fact that this footage is being a part of a crime case. But mods from r/9/11 archive Reddit board believe that LOL Superman simply just does not exist, and is a creepypasta of sorts. Reasons and descriptions of witnesses seem vague, and there were plenty of jumper videos in around that time that definitely could have been a case of people just misremembering and thinking it's 9/11. But this is a case of lost media that I think is better off forgotten and unarchived. It's disturbing that this is a case that people are actually interested in finding, especially with just seeing things like the falling man image from 9/11 taken by Richard Drew is enough to send chills through my entire body. I don't think I'd actually want to see this gruesome footage, especially of such an event like 9/11. But it is also just... It's a really disturbing case, because of people wanting to look for a video, especially with someone uploading it with a title that was clearly made to, like, make fun of people jumping from the Twin Towers. It's a weird one that people want to find, and I think that's what makes it one of my favorites, and the kind of like the morbid curiosity as to why people want to find this, not necessarily the video itself. And I'll be honest, I kind of hope it stays lost. I don't really want this recovered. I don't think it should be recovered. And I think, in my personal opinion, the best way to have a good middle ground, I guess, is like a screenshot of the video like being hosted on a site just to say like, oh yeah, it existed, instead of like the actual video being actually recovered in full. Just be like, yeah, it existed, and then we can move on. Because I don't think it deserves to be archived. I feel like it's a bit of a cruel thing to keep, or if it has to be archived, at least give it to the 9/11 Museum or to the FBI. That's it. You know, I don't think it should be a public thing to be archived for people to watch, because I really don't understand it. But it's my morbid curiosity of why people want to find this that makes it so interesting to me. So, yeah. Anyway, I wanted to give that little disclaimer because I'm like, I don't want this being found, I'll be honest. That's my hot take on LOL Superman, I guess, is that I don't want it really being found. I want it to be kind of forgotten, but if it was to be found, I want it to be sent to the 9/11 museum. If it has to be archived, or people want it archived, send it there. I don't want it to be publicly archived, or send it to the FBI, and also just, or again, a screenshot of it existing on a website. You know, just to be like, yeah, it exists. It was real. You know, and personally, with me thinking if it's real or not, I'm not someone who particularly likes gore or shock videos. So to be honest, I don't look for them. I don't like them. So I just stay away from those. So I just kind of, I wouldn't know if it's real or not. Because I don't engage with those sorts of parts of the internet. But it's a weird thing as to people want to look for and archive. But yeah, yeah, I don't know if it will ever be found, and if it's never found, I'm completely okay with it. But yeah, that's really some of my favorite cases of lost media, usually due to the story, the search, the actual media itself. Again, some of these I really just enjoy the story, like the last two, like LOL Superman. I'm curious as to why people want to search for it in the first place, and that's why it's one of my favorite cases. Go for a Punch, I know it's fake, but it's a good story, and I love that. The Black Cauldron, melting soldiers, I think it's pretty fucking cool actual media. You know, like people like Black Cauldron was a movie I grew up with as a kid, so like it's one of those things too. And then of course the Shadow King, I love Henry Selick, and then the whole Nice Singing Dog, it was furry related, and I was like, furry related lost media, that's my type. So yeah, but that's it. I don't really have anything else really left to say in this video. I feel like I'm just rambling because again, it's something that I'm really interested in and I love talking about, and I have a lot of strong opinions about. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Also, if you notice anything different about this video, it's because I'm using a new mic. I have a project I'm working on, and unfortunately, the project is going to be on the back burner for a while. I thought getting a new mic would help resolve the issue. It unfortunately is not, but I didn't want to return it because it's actually a nice mic. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna keep it as a treat for myself. So yeah, it's really nice. I really like it, and it's pretty. It's nice. It has a great stand. It came with a pop filter and everything, and I'm able to connect it via USB-C, which is awesome. So if I really wanted to, I guess I could use it on my phone, which is also really cool. But whatever. So yeah, let me know if you guys like this mic or my other one better. I personally like this one a little bit better. But yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Do you say
Bye.